Okay, joining me in the commentary box now, we have Terry Kealy from Queenscliff.
Ocean Grove.
Ocean Grove. He's the chairman of Pickleball Australia's Seniors Committee. Does a great job. Terry's been responsible for setting up several clubs down on the Bellarine Peninsula on the down in Victoria. Terry, how many clubs have you helped set up down there, and which ones?
Yep, so we started off at Ocean Grove in 2020, and in the last 12 months essentially, we've set up a club at Drysdale, which is about 20 minutes from us, and then we've just set up a club at Leopold, and we assisted in setting up a club at Torquay and another club in central Geelong. So we've got 5 now in terms of our small region on the Bellarine Peninsula and in Geelong. So it's been a tremendous growth of pickleball in that region. It's just exploded.
Yep. Has this really kicked on? Like COVID obviously hit Victorian very hard, so there wouldn't have been much pickleball going on back then, but since the COVID restrictions have been released, has there been a real upsurge in?
Absolutely, Ron. You know, you're right, COVID really had an impact, and I remember when we started for a month, shut down for 2 months, and that was the pattern for 2 years essentially. But there's been huge growth in pickleball in that region in particular. Initially when we started talking to people about it, there was, what is pickleball? But now it's people are ringing me on a weekly basis, daily basis almost, saying, where can I play? And the growth has been amazing.
Yeah. Well, it was highlighted to me by the fact that when the Victorian Open was on this year, which was only roughly about a month ago, I think there was about 130 participants in last year's Vic Open. This year there were 377 players registered to play in that tournament.
Absolutely. We've got a percentage of our people went to that tournament, and they really enjoyed that process of getting involved in tournaments, which is really hasn't happened all that much in Victoria, but as you say, because of the numbers, there's a percentage of people that are really finding tournaments, the next step in their development, I guess. And we're really, excited about the more tournaments. We ran one last year, a Victorian Teams Open event at Drysdale. And at that point, we had 12 courts. At that point, that was the biggest tournament that had ever been run in Victoria.
Yep.
We ran that in conjunction with Pickleball Victoria. And I think we had 120-something people from memory on one day tournament. And this one eclipsed that. The Vic Open eclipsed that by a long way. So fantastic.
What I found amusing was about 2 years ago, I actually come from Mornington, and I met with the council sporting coordinator who had never heard of pickleball, so I just happened to have a net and some paddles and some tape in the back of my car, so I agreed to meet her at the Mornington Leisure Centre.
Yep.
So then she met me there, thought the game was great. Some sessions started there, and then she also was responsible for starting it at Somerville Leisure Centre. So when I went down there about 18 months later, I was able to play at those 2 venues. And then lo and behold, when the Vic Open was held this year, guess where they held it?
Yeah,
Somerville.
Yeah, fantastic facility, isn't it?
Yeah, great indoor facility. Yeah. So just shows you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the issues we struggle with, and I think the game is it's going to be very facility dependent in terms of the cap of numbers. We really need to work on that, and we've liaised with the council. We're hoping of getting an 8-court facility, an outdoor facility, very, very shortly, and some old tennis courts that are sort of not used anymore. Actually, I forgot a club, Queenscliff, has just come on, so that's 6 clubs. Actually.
6 clubs.
They've converted outdoor tennis courts. I think they've got 5 down there at Queenscliff. So, so if we can get some more facilities, that's the only thing limiting us down there in Victoria. I guess it's the same everywhere, but
yeah. For a state that was lagging behind, partially due to COVID, boy, you're sure catching up down there.
Yeah, we are catching up. I mean, we would have probably 300 or 400 members in those 4 or 5 clubs. So you know, and 12 months ago we probably had 100. So that gives you an idea of the growth rate of what's going on in our region.
Yeah, but it's not only Victoria and Queensland. I mean, the games in New South Wales, it's going gangbusters there. Western Australia's just had their state championships that was well attended. Tasmania have got a Open coming up, so pickleball's going gangbusters there as well. It's just being publicised so much now, you know, national TV. It's all over national TV on a regular basis.
Absolutely. I think that's the point I was making before. You know, people starting to know about it, and if they haven't seen it, oh yeah, I've heard of pickleball.
Yep.
You know, 12 months ago, that certainly wasn't the case in Victoria. It was just it was like pulling teeth to try and explain to people what pickleball was. But so many people you talk to, you know, because of the exposure. You know, the Pro League, the Nick Kyrgios, you know, Nick Kyrgios is getting into the team, and LeBron James is having, you know, a team, and so that sort of stuff really.
What about the exhibition match between Agassi and McEnroe and that? I mean, it was the most watched sporting program on American TV. It was beating ice hockey, it was beating baseball, it was beating basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one particular match of, you know, the old tennis greats got the most viewers, you know, in American TV that night.
Yeah, no, it's huge value in that, you know. It's huge to get big names like that playing the game.
Yep.
You know, and the other thing, there was some criticism from one of our tennis players. I can't think of the name. But even that is good publicity.
Yes.
You know, it was something about old tennis players.
Yes.
You know, well, fine, we'll take that.
Yeah.
You know, we'll take that as you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, Andre Agassi said beforehand, you know, pickleball, what a joke, what a joke. After playing that game, he was interviewed and he said, as far as he's concerned, he'd love to play pickleball every day until he's no longer here.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of us like that now, I think, and that's been that's one thing I've found with it. I've been involved in sport a long time, but I find people get into this game and they you know, I don't want to use the term fanatic, but they get so involved.
Addicted.
Addicted is a good word. They get so involved, and which is great.
Yep. But we actually have to slow them down because, you know, once you get over 45 and 50 and they get a hit of pickleball, we have to sort of back them off. They get on the court and seriously, we can't get them off. You know, it just releases this competitive juice in people that, you know, people think that it's finished for them. Well, playing pickleball, it rejuvenates it.
Absolutely. I mean, how many sports can you take up when you're 50, 60, 70, and as you had someone, you know, here at 88, how many sports can you take up at that age and, you know, still, you know, be competitive at and be, you know, it doesn't wreck you physically. So I think pickleball is really unique in that sense. You're right, some of our people really go hard at it, no doubt about that, including yourself.
But we cross over generations, Terry. Like you can have a 9-year-old grandson playing with their 90-year-old great-grandparent.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, you know, for those people that are thinking about taking the sport up, think about that situation where, you know, even if you're 20 or 30, like you've got 60 years to play, you know, but you can still do it with 50 or 60, and what a great thing to be able to play with your grandkids.
Yes, and be competitive.
And have fun. Yeah, with that. So.
It's starting to flow through into schools now. It's becoming part of the curriculum in a lot of schools as well.
We have done a lot of schools in our region, and the phys ed staff actually love it. I was a phys ed teacher, so I'm sorry that pickleball wasn't around when I was teaching, but because it's so transferable to other sports. We had a sport called bat tennis. We played for a long time.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, hand tennis.
Yeah. So pickleball is such a so much more going for it than most sports in terms of skill development, in terms of transfer, in terms of a leading game. You know, amazing what it can do in a sports curriculum. So,
yep. And a number of pickleball players that are doing road trips or travelling interstate, they always now pack the paddles in their suitcases or backpacks or whatever. Yeah, and on the odd chance they'll find out where they're going, if there's any pickleball sessions, and guess what?
Yeah. Well, we've done that. We started up in Noosa last year, the year before, and just travelled down the coast and you know, found out where people were playing. People very welcoming, you know.
Yes.
You come in, hi, how you going? And And we found the Gold Coast here, and we've been back here 3 years in a row now, and just love it here. It's just, so people are so welcoming, and so it's such a great social, going out for coffee with people now, playing games, getting involved in tournaments. It's just a great community of people, pickleball people.
Yes, well, that's one big thing that not only is it the competition when you're actually playing, but the other side of the coin, which to me is as equally as important, is the socialisation afterwards. And as you said, it can be, in the morning. When you finish, there's lots of places to have a coffee and get to know the people and discuss your pickleball stories. And then if it happens to be later in the day, getting around 4 o'clock, then you can have something a little bit stronger, maybe a glass of beer and some wine and some cheese. So, we went down on a little road trip down to Victoria and called into Halliday Point, and we were treated so well. We got rained out, but that didn't matter. We got invited round and just met so many nice, wonderful, friendly people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did the same thing on the lap stop in Canberra. Canberra's relatively new in terms of development, but they've really got it going on. And we played 2 days, just called in, stopped, two games. That was great.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Terry's being marshalled by his wife, Fran. I think he's got to jump on a court and start competing.
I do.
We were just getting comfortable, Terry, too.
We'll do it again, I'm sure.
Yeah, good luck. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you.
Hi, fine, Ken.
Terry?
Thank you very much, Terry Kealy, Chairman of Pickleball Australian Seniors Committee. Does a great job.